story events. The movie begins with a scene of the wind blowing feather falling quietly to the ground at Forrest Gump, who took it and put it in his bag while he was sitting on a seat at the bus stop. Then a woman sat next to him and offered her chocolate. Forrest began to remember his past and told the lady about his sad story and how he grew up with an IQ of no more than 75 and a peeler in his feet, but he never frowned because his mother and girlfriend Jenny were always supportive. Forrest's story takes us back to the past when Forrest entered the university with a scholarship he received when he managed to run without a peeler in his feet, and it turned out that he was an accomplished soccer player. He visited Jenny regularly at college, but she was more interested in escaping and pursuing her dreams than with staying with Forrest and living in a town. Greenville, Alabama. After college, Forrest joined the Army and traveled by sea to participate in the Vietnam War, and there he befriended a person called Bubba, who had dreamed of entering the field of shrink hunting. As soon as the war ended, he vowed with Forrest to enter this field together as soon as the war ended. Unfortunately, Bubba died in the war, but Forrest managed to save the commanding officer, Lieutenant Dan, who lost his leg in the Gulf battle, and then they became friends. And during Forrest's recovery at the officer's hospital, he tried to play table tennis for the first time, only to discover that he was very good at it, so he went on rounds as a table tennis player to develop Army recruitment. He even traveled to China and competed with the best players. Forrest was eventually asked to fly back to America, and he immediately went to Jenny in Washington County and tried to free her from her corrupt lover who was hurting her, but she ran away from him again. Forrest then headed to New York City where he met Lieutenant Dan, who had become a wheelchair bound, and when Dan heard of Forrest's plan to become a captain of a shrink trawler in memory of Bubba, he found that very funny, and he promised to be his first companion on the ship if it happened. Forrest headed south to Louisiana to become a captain, accompanied by Lieutenant Dan, and it was a failure until a hurricane hit all the shrink fishing boats along the Gulf Coast except for their ship, and now they catch shrink and make millions of dollars. Meanwhile, Forrest discovered that his mother was sick, so he headed to his hometown Greenville to be by her side until she died of cancer. Then Forrest lived in the house for a while until Jenny appeared on his doorstep one day, and in the meantime Forrest made more and more money when Lieutenant Dan put a successful investment in a small company called Apple Computer. Forrest and Jenny lived together for some time and committed a set during the time, and when Forrest applied to ask for Jenny's hand in marriage, she ran away again, and Forrest began running around America back and forth for years, which brought him widespread fame and inspired many citizens, until he stopped running one day and headed back to his home. And when he returned home after 3 years of running, he received a letter from Jenny asking him to visit her, and then they took us to the present day where Forrest sits on a seat in the bus stop and tells his story to the lady after he offered her chocolate, waiting for him to go to Jenny's house. Then she told him the old lady sitting next to him found that Jenny's home address was close and only a few blocks away, so Forrest ran off her home. And it turns out that Jenny is mostly ill with AIDS, and that day, she and Forrest had a son together, and she called him Forrest as well. From Forrest to marry her. Forrest and Jenny went to Greenport to get married, and shortly after that Jenny died, Forrest buried her and went to raise their young Forrest, and the movie ended with Forrest sending his son to school and then telling him that he loves him very much. Thank you.